The maid accidentally walked into the wrong room and saw her boss bleeding. He ordered her to stitch the wound or he'd die. What she didn't know, saving his life made her daughter the most valuable target in the city. And now, he's the only one who can keep them both alive. The brass doorknob turned before Sophia realized her mistake. She'd been cleaning the Valenti mansion for 3 months, always following the same rule. Third floor was off-limits after 9 p.m. But tonight, Mrs. Chun had handed her a different key ring, mumbled something about the study needs fresh towels, and rushed out for her daughter's recital. Sophia had been too exhausted to ask questions. The door swung open. The man stood with his back to her, shirtless, one hand pressed against his ribs. Blood seeped between his fingers, dark and fresh, dripping onto the Persian rug worth more than Sophia's annual salary. His shoulders were broad, muscles taut with pain, and when he turned, Sophia's breath caught in her throat. Dante Valenti. She'd seen him exactly twice before. Once stepping out of a black SUV, bodyguards flanking him like a president, and once in the hallway when she'd pressed herself against the wall, making herself invisible as he passed. The other maids whispered about him constantly. Dangerous. Powerful. Don't look him in the eye. Now those eyes locked onto hers. Dark, calculating, and currently glazed with pain. Wrong room, Sophia stammered, already backing toward the door. Her heart hammered against her ribs. I'm so sorry, Mr. Valenti. I didn't know. Close the door. His voice was rough, commanding. Not a request. Sophia's hand froze on the doorknob. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but something in his tone made her hesitate. Maybe it was the way he swayed slightly, or how his jaw clenched with the effort of staying upright. Sir, I should call someone? Close. The door, each word came out sharp, final. She stepped inside and pushed the door shut. The click of the lock echoed like a gunshot. Dante moved toward his desk, leaving a trail of blood drops. He yanked open a drawer with his free hand and pulled out a black medical kit, the kind you'd see in war movies, not fancy mansions. He shoved it across the polished mahogany surface. You know how to stitch. Sophia blinked. What?
Do
You
know how to
stitch. He leaned heavily against the desk, his breathing shallow. Yes or no? My daughter had a bad cut last year. The ER nurse showed me how to do butterfly stitches at home because we couldn't afford. She stopped herself. He didn't need her sob story. Good enough. Dante eased himself into the leather chair, wincing. He moved his hand away from his ribs, revealing an ugly wound just below his ribcage. A bullet graze, she realized with horror. The kind that could have been so much worse. Mr. Valenti, you need a hospital. If I walk into a hospital tonight, I'm dead by morning. He fixed her with that intense stare again. If you walk away, I die here in about an hour. Blood loss. Maybe infection if I'm unlucky enough to last that long. He gestured to the medical kit. Stitch it. Sophia's hands trembled as she approached the desk. This was insane. She was a single mom who cleaned houses to pay rent and keep her daughter's asthma medication stocked. She wasn't equipped for Mafia shootouts and bullet wounds. But Lily's face flashed through her mind, her 7-year-old daughter, sleeping peacefully in their tiny apartment, completely unaware that her mom was currently having the worst night of her life. If Sophia refused and he died, what would happen to her? To Lily? If she helped and he lived, what then? Her fingers closed around the medical kit. I need you to move to the couch. Better lighting. Something flickered in Dante's eyes.
Surprise?
Respect? It vanished before she could identify it. He pushed himself up with a grunt and made his way to the leather couch near the fireplace. Sophia followed, her mind racing. She'd seen enough medical dramas to know the basics, and that emergency room visit with Lily had taught her more than she'd expected. This is going to hurt, she warned, snapping on surgical gloves from the kit. It already hurts. Dante's voice held a hint of dark humor. Just make it hurt productively. Sophia cleaned the wound first, her hands steadier than she felt. The bullet had carved a deep furrow across his ribs, but hadn't penetrated.
Lucky.
She threaded the curved needle, her fingers moving on autopilot while her brain screamed that this couldn't be real. The first stitch made Dante's jaw clench, but he didn't make a sound. "Why aren't you calling your own doctor?" Sophia asked quietly, trying to distract both of them. "Because the person who shot me knew I'd be on that street tonight." His voice was cold, flat. "Someone in my circle sold me out. Until I know who, I trust no one inch." "You're trusting me? You have the most to lose." He watched her work, his gaze unnervingly steady. "Single mom, 2 jobs, daughter with medical issues. You won't risk bringing police or rivals to your door. Self-preservation makes you reliable." Sophia's hands paused. "How do you know about my daughter?" "I know about everyone who enters my home." A chill ran down her spine. She focused on the stitches, counting each one.
7, 8, 9.
"What's your daughter's name?" Dante asked suddenly. Sophia glanced up, startled by the shift in his tone. It was almost conversational. "Lily. How old?"
7.
"She loves piano music and drawing." Sophia tied off another stitch. "Why?" "Because in about 5 minutes you're going to finish this, walk out that door, and pretend tonight never happened. I need to know you'll remember what's at stake if you decide to talk." The threat was subtle but clear. Sophia's hands moved faster. 11, 12, 13. "Done," she whispered, cutting the final thread. Dante examined her work in the mirror on the wall, then reached for a crisp, white shirt draped over a nearby chair. He buttoned it slowly, his movements careful. "You did good work, Sophia." He pulled an envelope from his desk drawer and held it out. "There's $5,000 in here. Take it. Consider it a bonus for working late." Sophia stared at the envelope like it might bite her. "I can't." "You can, and you will. Your daughter needs new asthma medication." The generic stopped working last month. He pressed the envelope into her shaking hands. "Go home. Say nothing. Tomorrow, everything goes back to normal." But as Sophia clutched that envelope and walked out of Dante Valeni's study, she knew with absolute certainty that nothing would ever be normal again. Sophia's hands still trembled as she turned the key in the apartment door. 3 a.m. Lily would be asleep, and Mrs. Rodriguez from next door would be snoring on the couch, remote control still clutched in her wrinkled hand. The envelope in Sophia's purse felt like it weighed 100 pounds. She paid Mrs. Rodriguez the usual $20, money she'd had to borrow from her sister last week, and waited for the elderly woman to shuffle out. Only when the door clicked shut did Sophia allow herself to collapse against it, sliding down until she sat on the worn linoleum floor. $5,000. Her hands were steady enough now to open the envelope. She counted it twice. All there. Enough to cover 3 months of rent, Lily's medication, and maybe, just maybe, fix the broken washing machine that had turned their building's basement into a gamble every Sunday. But it was blood money. Sophia shoved the envelope deep into her purse and walked to Lily's room. Her daughter lay sprawled across the twin bed, one arm hanging off the edge, her nebulizer on the nightstand within reach. Sophia pressed a kiss to her forehead, breathing in that familiar scent of strawberry shampoo and childhood innocence. "I love you, baby girl," she whispered. "Everything I do is for you." Lily stirred but didn't wake. Sophia retreated to her own room, barely big enough for a bed and dresser, and sat in the dark, watching the city lights through the thin curtains. Sleep wouldn't come. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Dante's blood on her hands, felt the needle-piercing skin, heard his cold voice. "I know about everyone who enters my home." Her phone buzzed at 6 a.m. A text from an unknown number. "Take the day off.
Paid. Rest."
DV. Sophia stared at the message. He had her number. Of course he did. He probably knew her social security number, her credit score, and what she'd eaten for breakfast last Tuesday. She couldn't go back there. Couldn't face him. Couldn't risk. "Mommy?" Lily stood in the doorway, rubbing her eyes, her blonde hair a tangled mess. "Why are you awake?" Sophia forced a smile. "Couldn't sleep, sweetheart. Bad dreams. Want me to make you breakfast?"
"I can do cereal now."
"I don't spill anymore." That sounds perfect. They sat together at their tiny kitchen table, Lily chattering about her upcoming school art show while Sophia mechanically spooned Cheerios into her mouth. The TV played in the background, morning news that Sophia usually ignored. Until she didn't. Violent shootout in the warehouse district last night left 3 dead and 2 injured. Police say the attack bears the hallmarks of organized crime, though no arrests have been made. Authorities believe this may be connected to escalating tensions between rival families in the city's underground. Sophia's spoon clattered into her bowl. The news showed crime scene tape, flashing police lights, and a warehouse with shattered windows. The timestamp on the footage read 8:47 p.m. Less than an hour before she'd walked into Dante's study. He'd been shot there, had come straight home, bleeding, trusting no one. And now everyone knew there'd been an attack. Mommy? You okay? Sophia realized she was gripping the edge of the table hard enough to hurt. Fine, baby.
Just.
Sad news. But she wasn't fine. If the news knew about the shootout, then Dante's enemies knew he'd been wounded. They'd be looking for weakness, waiting for another chance to strike. And she was connected to him now. Her phone buzzed again. Another unknown number, different from the first.
We know what you did last night.
Valeni's not invincible. Smart girls know which side to choose. Answer when we call. The phone slipped from Sophia's fingers, clattering onto the table. Mommy, what's wrong? You look scared. Nothing, Lily. Sophia grabbed her daughter's hand. How about we skip school today? Have a mommy-daughter day. We could go to the library, get those books you wanted. But I have my math test. And Jenny's bringing cupcakes for her birthday. Sophia's mind raced. Stay home and hide? Go to work and pretend nothing happened? Run. Where could they even run? She had $300 in her checking account. Well, $5,300 now, and a daughter who needed medication she could only get with a prescription from a doctor they couldn't afford to visit. Another text. The first number again. Dante. Your daughter's school has a security concern. I'm sending a car at 7:45. Driver's name is Marcus. Black SUV, plate number KJV 2847. He'll wait outside until dismissal.
Non negotiable.
Sophia's blood ran cold. Lily, go brush your teeth. We need to leave early today.
Why?
Because I said so. The sharpness in her tone made Lily's eyes widen, but she scurried off to the bathroom. Sophia grabbed her phone and typed back with shaking fingers. What security concern? What's happening? The response came immediately. The people who shot me know you helped me. They'll use your daughter to get to me. She's leverage now. Either accept my protection or leave the city tonight. Choose. Sophia stared at the message until the words blurred. This couldn't be real. 24 hours ago, her biggest worry was whether she'd have enough tips from her restaurant shift to buy Lily new sneakers before winter. Now armed men were threatening her daughter. Because she'd been in the wrong room at the wrong time. Because she'd saved a mafia boss's life. The bathroom door opened. Lily emerged, toothbrush still in hand, toothpaste foaming at the corners of her mouth. Mommy, there's a big black car outside. It looks like the president's car. Sophia ran to the window. Sure enough, a black SUV idled at the curb. A man in a dark suit stood beside it, scanning the street with the careful awareness of someone trained for danger. Her phone buzzed one more time. Clock's ticking, Sophia. Let Marcus drive her, or pack your bags. But if you run, you won't make it out of the state. They're faster than you think. Lily pressed her face against the window.
Wow.
Is that for us? Sophia closed her eyes. She thought of Dante's words, self-preservation makes you reliable. He was right. She had everything to lose. Yeah, baby, Sophia whispered, her voice hollow. That's for us. And just like that, the cage door closed. Sophia didn't go to the mansion that day. Or the next. She called in sick, her voice cracking with genuine fear, and Mrs. Chen accepted without question. Maybe she knew. Maybe everyone who worked for the Valenis learned to ask no questions. But on the third day, a different text arrived.
Rooftop cafe.
Corner of 5th and Madison. 2 p.m.
Come alone. We need to talk.
DV. Sophia's first instinct was to ignore it. Her second was to pack a bag and drive until her car ran out of gas. But Lily was at school, escorted there by Marcus in that black SUV, walked to her classroom by a man who probably had a gun under his jacket, and Sophia knew running would accomplish nothing. Dante Valeni didn't make requests. He made statements. At 1:55 p.m., Sophia stepped off the elevator onto the rooftop cafe. It was one of those trendy places she'd never been able to afford, all glass railings and potted olive trees, overlooking the city like a kingdom. Only a handful of people sat at the scattered tables, and none of them looked up when she entered. Dante sat alone at a corner table, facing the door. He wore a charcoal suit that probably cost more than her yearly rent, his dark hair perfectly styled. No trace of the wounded man she'd stitched up 3 nights ago. He stood when she approached. A gentleman's gesture that felt absurd given the circumstances. Sophia. Thank you for coming. Did I have a choice? She didn't sit. There's always a choice. He gestured to the chair across from him. Please. She sat, gripping her purse in her lap like a shield. A waiter appeared instantly, setting down 2 cappuccinos without being asked. Sophia didn't touch hers. How's Lily? Dante asked, his tone casual, like they were old friends catching up. Terrified of the strange man who drives her to school. Confused about why her mom is acting paranoid. Asking questions I can't answer. Sophia's voice shook with anger. How do you think she is? Safe, Dante said simply. Which is more than she'd be without Marcus. Safe from who? Your enemies? The ones who texted me threats because I was stupid enough to help you. Dante's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. You got a threatening text 2 days ago. Said they knew what I did. That smart girls know which side to choose. His jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. He pulled out his phone and typed something quickly. Show me. Sophia fumbled for her phone, pulled up the message, and slid it across the table. Dante read it, his face unreadable, then forwarded it to himself. That number's dead now, he said quietly. But they've already made their point. Which is what? That I'm a target? That my daughter is leverage. Sophia's voice rose. The few other patrons glanced their way. She lowered it to a harsh whisper. I didn't ask for this. I was doing my job. And you saved my life, Dante leaned forward. Which means you're valuable to me and dangerous to them. That makes you a problem that won't go away. Then make it go away. Tell them I don't matter. Tell them. It doesn't work that way. He pulled a folded paper from his jacket and placed it on the table. This is a contract. Full-time position. Private household manager. $60,000 a year, full benefits. Housing included in the east wing of the estate. Your daughter gets private security, medical coverage, real coverage, not the insurance that denies her inhaler refills, and access to private tutors. Sophia stared at the paper like it was a snake. You want me to work for you permanently? I want you where I can protect you. Where my enemies can't reach you. That's not protection. That's imprisonment. Call it what you want. It's better than the alternative. Dante's voice went cold. Do you know what happens to loose ends in my world, Sophia? They disappear. Not because I want them to, but because someone else decides they're a liability. And whose fault is that? Sophia's hands clenched into fists. You brought this into my life. You walked through my door. By mistake. Doesn't matter. Dante leaned back, his expression neutral again. Intent is irrelevant. Consequence is everything. And the consequence is that the Rossetti family knows you helped me. They know you have access to my home. They think you might know something useful. I don't know anything. They won't believe that until they've interrogated you themselves. He let that sink in. And they won't be gentle. Especially if they think hurting your daughter will make you talk faster. Sophia's stomach turned. You're trying to scare me. I'm trying to save your life. Dante pulled out his phone again and set it on the table, screen facing her. A photograph. Sophia's breath stopped. It was Lily. Yesterday. Walking out of school. Marcus was 3 steps behind her, but in the background, parked across the street, was a white van. The side door was open just enough to show 2 men inside, one holding a camera with a long lens pointed directly at Lily. That van followed Marcus for 6 blocks before my people intercepted it. Dante's voice was measured, controlled. The men inside work for the Rossettis. They were mapping her routine, exits, timing, weak points. Sophia's vision blurred with tears. Oh God. Your daughter is already a target, Sophia. The question isn't whether you're in danger. You are. The question is whether you want amateur protection from locks and pepper spray or professional protection from people who do this for a living. She couldn't look away from the photo. Lily, smiling, completely unaware of the predators watching her. If I sign this, Sophia whispered, what happens to our lives? You move into the mansion. Lily goes to a private school with actual security. You work for me, but your primary job is keeping yourself and your daughter alive, he paused. And in return, I guarantee no one touches her. No one even gets close. For how long? Until the thread is eliminated. And how long is that? Dante's silence was answer enough. Sophia picked up the contract with shaking hands. 60,000 a year.
Housing.
Medical. Security. Everything she'd struggled to provide for 7 years, handed to her on a silver platter. All she had to do was sell her freedom. I need to think about it, she said. Dante reached across the table and gently turned her phone toward her, the photo of Lily still glowing on the screen. Think fast. The Rossettis are patient, but they're not inactive. Every day you're out there, you're exposed. Sophia stared at her daughter's face, at the white van, at the men who saw her baby as nothing more than a tool. She thought about her cramped apartment with its broken locks, the walk to school through streets she'd never considered dangerous, the grocery store, the park, the library, all places that were suddenly minefields. Dante was right about one thing. Intent didn't matter anymore. Only consequence. I need to pick her up from school, Sophia said hollowly. I should be the one to tell her we're moving. Dante nodded and stood. Marcus will drive you. The contract can wait until tonight, he buttoned his suit jacket. But Sophia? There's no door number 3. It's protection or exposure. Choose wisely. He walked away, leaving her alone with cold cappuccino and impossible choices. Sophia looked at the contract one more time, then at the photo of Lily. In the end, there was no choice at all. There never had been. Sophia insisted on being there when Dante picked up Lily from school. Marcus drove them in the black SUV, Sophia sitting in the back seat with her arms wrapped around herself, watching the city blur past. She'd texted the school office an hour ago. Family emergency. Picking up Lily early. Her uncle will be with me. Uncle. The lie tasted bitter. She doesn't know anything about your world, Sophia said suddenly. She thinks you're, I don't know, a family friend, a boss, something normal. Dante sat in the passenger seat, his profile sharp against the window.
Good.
Let's keep it that way. How am I supposed to explain why we're suddenly moving into your mansion? Tell her the truth. That you got a promotion. Better pay, better housing. Kids adjust. She's not just any kid. She's sensitive. Anxious. She has nightmares about. Sophia stopped herself. Dante didn't need to know about the nightmares that had started after Lily's father walked out 3 years ago, promising to come back and never did. She'll have her own room, Dante said quietly. Bigger than your entire apartment. Windows facing the garden. I'll have a piano moved in if she wants 1 inch. Sophia's throat tightened. You can't buy your way out of this being wrong. I'm not trying to. I'm trying to keep you both alive. The SUV pulled up outside Westbrook Elementary just as the dismissal bell rang. Parents clustered near the gates, chatting and checking phones. A few glanced at the sleek black vehicle, curious but not alarmed. Marcus stayed in the driver's seat, engine running. Dante opened his door. What are you doing? Sophia grabbed his arm. You can't just, people will see. Good. Let them see. He pulled free gently. The more public this is, the safer she is. Witnesses are protection. Before Sophia could argue, He was out of the car and walking toward the school gates. Parents turned to stare. A man in a $1,000 suit didn't belong at afternoon pickup, and everyone knew it. Sophia scrambled after him, her heart pounding. Dante, please. The school doors burst open and children flooded out, a wave of backpacks and laughter. Sophia scanned the crowd frantically until she spotted Lily's blonde ponytail bouncing near the middle of the pack. Mommy! Lily's face lit up when she saw Sophia. Then her eyes landed on Dante, and her step slowed, uncertain. Sophia rushed forward and pulled Lily into a hug. Hey, baby. I came to pick you up early today. Is everything okay? Lily's voice was small, worried. Everything's fine. Better than fine, Sophia forced brightness into her tone. Remember my boss, Mr. Valenti? He wanted to meet you. Dante crouched down to Lily's eye level, his expression softening in a way Sophia hadn't seen before.
Lily.
Your mom talks about you all the time. Lily peered at him shyly. She does. She says you like to draw, and that you're really good at math. I got a 92 on my test today. Lily's face brightened. Then she frowned. Wait, how do you know my name? Because your mom is important to our company. And important people's families are important too. Dante stood and gestured toward the SUV. We brought a car to take you home. Is that okay? Lily's eyes went wide. That car? The really cool one. That's the one.
Wow.
Lily grabbed Sophia's hand. Mommy, can we? Please. Sophia met Dante's eyes over her daughter's head. His expression was neutral, but the message was clear. See? Not so hard. Around them, parents whispered. Sophia caught fragments of conversation. Isn't that the Valenti boy? I heard he... Probably her boyfriend. Did you see that car? Lucky woman. Wish my boss looked like that. A woman in yoga pants and designer sunglasses approached, her smile too wide. Sophia, I didn't know you were seeing someone. You've been holding out on us. Oh, we're not, Sophia started. Just giving them a ride, Dante interrupted smoothly, placing a hand on Sophia's lower back. The gesture was casual, possessive, unmistakably intimate. Traffic's bad today. The woman's smile grew sharper. Of course. Well, Lily, you're a lucky girl. Not every kid gets picked up in style. She walked away, already pulling out her phone. Sophia hissed under her breath. Why did you do that? Because now everyone thinks you're under my protection by choice, not force.
Rumors spread.
The Rossettis will hear about it by tonight. He guided them toward the SUV. Perception is everything. Marcus opened the door. Lily climbed in without hesitation, running her hands over the leather seats with wonder. Mommy, this is so fancy. Do we get to ride in this every day? For a while, Sophia said carefully, sliding in beside her. Dante got in the front, and Marcus pulled away from the curb. In the rearview mirror, Sophia saw parents still staring, phones out, probably already texting their friends about the mysterious man who picked up the single mom's daughter. Where are we going? Lily asked, pressing her nose to the window. Sophia took a breath. We're going to see our new home, baby. Lily's head whipped around. New home? Like we're moving?
Yes.
I got a really good job opportunity. We're going to live somewhere nicer. Somewhere safer. What about Mrs. Rodriguez? And my school? And Jenny? Panic crept into Lily's voice. I don't want to move. You'll make new friends, Dante said, turning in his seat. And your new school has an art program. Real art classes with actual teachers, not just coloring time. Really? Lily's panic wavered. Really? And a music room. You can learn piano properly if you want. I've always wanted to learn piano. Lily looked at Sophia, hope and fear warring on her face. Mommy, is this real? Sophia pulled her daughter close. It's real, sweetheart. Everything's changing, but it's going to be okay. I promise. The lie felt necessary, comforting. But as the SUV turned onto the private road leading to the Valenti estate, Sophia wondered if promises made in cages still counted as promises. Lily gasped when the mansion came into view. Mommy, it's like a castle. Yeah, baby, Sophia whispered. Just like a castle. And everyone knew that castles had dungeons. The gates closed behind them with a heavy clang, sealing them inside. Dante's world. Dante's rules. Sophia held Lily tighter and watched their old life disappear in the side mirror. Marcus parked near a side entrance. As they climbed out, Sophia noticed security cameras everywhere. At least 6 men in suits patrolling the grounds. A guard stationed near the main gate. Welcome home, Dante said. But his eyes met Sophia's, and she saw the truth there. This wasn't a welcome. It was a warning. The East Wing bedroom was 3 times the size of their old apartment. Sophia stood in the doorway at dawn, watching Lily sleep in a bed that looked like something from a fairy tale. White canopy, silk sheets, stuffed animals arranged on hand-carved shelves. A bay window overlooked the garden. Morning light painted everything gold. It was beautiful. It was a prison. She slept through the night. A voice said behind her.
Sophia Spoon.
Dante stood in the hallway, dressed in a simple black t-shirt and jeans, holding a coffee mug. He looked different without the suit, younger, almost human. You were watching her? Sophia's voice came out sharper than intended. Security footage. She had an episode around 2 a.m. Reached for her inhaler, used it, went back to sleep. He took a sip of coffee. The air filtration system in her room is medical grade. Should help with the asthma. Sophia didn't know what to say to that. Thank you, felt wrong. This wasn't a favor, it was control. Mrs. Chin will show you your duties at 8, Dante continued. You'll start in the kitchen, then administrative work in the afternoon. Lily's tutor arrives at 9-inch. I haven't agreed to any of this. You're here, aren't you? He turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Sophia? The staff talks. Ignore them. He disappeared down the hallway before she could ask what he meant. At 7:45, Sophia left Lily with a young woman named Maria, a nanny Dante had hired overnight, and made her way to the kitchen. The mansion was a maze of hallways and locked doors, but she found it eventually. Mrs. Chin stood at the counter, chopping vegetables with military precision. 2 other women worked nearby, one folding linens, the other polishing silver. All 3 looked up when Sophia entered. The conversation stopped immediately. Sophia, Mrs. Chin said neutrally. Good morning. Coffee's fresh. Thank you. Sophia poured herself a cup, acutely aware of the silence pressing down like a weight. The woman folding linens, young, pretty, with dark hair and a tight bun, whispered something to the silver polisher. They both glanced at Sophia and quickly looked away. Isabella Rosa, Mrs. Chin said sharply. If you have something to say it out loud. Isabella's cheeks flushed. Nothing, ma'am.
Good.
Then get back to work. Mrs. Chin gestured for Sophia to follow her.
Come.
I'll show you the inventory system. But as they left the kitchen, Sophia heard Rosa's whisper carry down the hall. 3 days and she's already moved in. Must be good at more than cleaning. Sophia's face burned. She opened her mouth to respond, but Mrs. Chin shook her head. Ignore them, the older woman said quietly. They're jealous. You got something they all want. I didn't want any of this. Mrs. Chin gave her a long look. Doesn't matter what you wanted. Matters what you got. She stopped at a supply closet and pulled out cleaning supplies. Your job is to be invisible but present. Keep the household running. Answer when Mr. Valeni calls. And whatever you do, don't give them more to talk about. For the next 4 hours, Sophia scrubbed, organized, and cataloged supplies she couldn't pronounce. She kept her head down, worked efficiently, and tried not to think about the whispers that followed her through every room. At lunch, she checked on Lily. The tutor, a kind-faced woman named Dr. Phillips, reported that Lily was bright, engaged, and settling in beautifully. Lily showed Sophia a drawing she'd made of the garden, her face glowing with happiness. Mommy, can we stay here forever? Sophia forced a smile. We'll see, baby. By afternoon, Mrs. Chun brought Sophia to Dante's office. He needs someone to organize his files. You have good handwriting. You'll do. Dante sat at his desk, phone to his ear, speaking rapid Italian. He gestured for Sophia to enter, without breaking conversation. She settled at the small table near the window and began sorting through stacks of documents, invoices, contracts, shipping manifests. All legitimate businesses on the surface. Import-export, real estate, restaurants. She wondered which ones were fronts. "Your daughter likes her tutor," Dante said after ending his call. Sophia didn't look up. "She's easily impressed. Dr. Phillips says she's reading at a 5th grade level. Advanced for 7-inch. She loves books." Sophia kept sorting papers. "Always has." Silence stretched between them. Sophia felt his eyes on her, but refused to acknowledge it. "The staff thinks we're sleeping together," Dante said casually. Sophia's hands stilled. "I know. Does it bother you? Does it bother you that they're wrong?" "I don't care what they think." He stood and crossed to the window, hands in his pockets. "But you should know, the rumor actually helps. Makes your presence here make sense. Gives you a reason to be close to me." "I'm not close to you." "Not yet." He turned to face her. "But you will be. My enemies will look for weaknesses, and you're the obvious one. They'll assume your leverage. Let them assume you're also my lover. It gives you value beyond being a target." Sophia finally looked at him. "You've thought this all through, haven't you? Every angle." "It's how I stay alive." "Must be exhausting." Something flickered in his expression. Surprise, maybe, or respect. "You have no idea." The office door burst open. A man in his 40s, stocky and scowling, stormed in without knocking. "Dante, we need to talk about." He stopped when he saw Sophia.
Oh.
"I see you're busy." "Marco," Dante's voice went cold. "What did I say about knocking?" "I didn't realize you had company." Marco's eyes raked over Sophia with barely concealed contempt. "Though I suppose I should get used to interruptions now that she's here." Sophia stood. "I should go." "Sit down," Dante ordered. To Marco, "Say what you came to say." Marco's jaw tightened. "The shipment from Newark is delayed. Paolo wants to know if we're moving forward with alternate routes." "Tell Paolo yes. Use the secondary contacts." "Fine." Marco turned to leave, then looked back at Sophia. "You know, Dante, mixing business with personal matters. That's how people get sloppy. How they make mistakes." "Are you questioning my judgment?" "I'm questioning your priorities." Marco's eyes narrowed. "A maid and her kid are getting more security than our shipments. Men are noticing. Then they can take it up with me directly." Dante's voice dropped to something dangerous. "Anything else?" Marco left without answering, slamming the door behind him. Sophia exhaled slowly. "He hates me. He hates change. And you represent a significant change." Dante returned to his desk. "Don't worry about Marco. He's loyal. He thinks I'm manipulating you. He thinks everyone is manipulating everyone. It's his job." Dante picked up a pen, signaling the conversation was over. "Finish the filing. Then take the rest of the day with Lily." Sophia worked in silence for another hour. But she felt Dante's presence like electricity. Every time he shifted in his chair, every call he took, every moment his attention drifted toward her. When she finally left, she found Lily in the music room, attempting to play piano with Maria's help. Her daughter's laughter echoed through the mansion, bright and innocent. Sophia leaned against the doorframe and watched, her heart aching. Lily was happy here, safe here, and Sophia had no idea how to feel about that. 5 days into their new life, Sophia let herself believe they might actually be safe. The mansion's garden was enormous, manicured hedges, stone pathways, and in the far corner a small playground that Dante had installed overnight. Swings, a slide, even a sandbox. All for Lily. "Higher, Mommy. Push me higher." Sophia pushed the swing, watching her daughter's hair fly in the wind, her laughter carrying across the garden. For a moment it felt almost normal, like they were at any park in any neighborhood, not trapped inside a fortress owned by the Mafia. Maria sat on a nearby bench, knitting something pink. 2 guards stood at opposite corners of the garden, trying to look casual and failing. Sophia had learned their names. Davis and Chun. Both former military. Both armed. "Mommy, watch this." Lily jumped off the swing mid-arc, landing in the sandbox with a thud and a giggle. Careful, baby. Sophia's heart jumped, but Lily was already fine, building something in the sand. I'm making a castle. Like this house. Sophia smiled and sat on the bench beside Maria. The afternoon sun was warm, the breeze gentle. She could almost forget the cameras, the guards, the locked gates. Almost. She's adjusting well, Maria said softly, her knitting needles clicking. Most children would be traumatized by such a sudden move. She doesn't know why we're really here. Sophia watched Lily pack sand into a bucket. She thinks it's an adventure. Maybe that's better. Innocence is a gift. Movement caught Sophia's eye. Dante had emerged from the house, crossing the lawn toward the garden. He wore his usual suit, phone pressed to his ear, looking every inch the businessman. But Sophia had learned to read the tension in his shoulders, the way his free hand stayed close to his jacket, where she knew he kept a gun. He ended the call and approached the playground, his expression softening slightly when he saw Lily. Mr. Dante. Lily waved enthusiastically. Look at my castle. Very impressive, he crouched beside the sandbox, examining her work with surprising seriousness. But castles need walls. Here, he showed her how to build a reinforced barrier around the structure. Sophia watched, unsettled by how natural it looked. How easily Dante shifted from dangerous to gentle. A red appeared on Dante's shoulder. Sophia's brain registered it before she could think. She'd seen enough action movies, enough news footage. She knew what a laser sight looked like. Down, she screamed. Everything happened in seconds. Sophia launched herself at Lily, grabbing her daughter and hitting the ground hard. Sand exploded around them. Lily shrieked in confusion. Dante moved like lightning, rolling behind the stone bench as the sharp crack of a rifle shot split the air. Davis and Chun were already moving, weapons drawn, shouting into radios. More guards poured from the house. Mommy, what's happening? Lily sobbed, clinging to Sophia. Sophia covered her daughter's body with her own, heart hammering so hard she thought it might burst. Another shot, this one hitting the swing set, metal shrieking as the bullet tore through. North wall, Davis shouted. Rooftop, 200 meters. More gunfire, but this time from the guards, returning fire toward something Sophia couldn't see. Dante crawled toward them, staying low. Sophia, can you move? I think so. When I say go, you run for the house. Don't stop. Don't look back. His voice was calm, controlled, but his eyes were fierce. Maria, you're with them. Maria had already abandoned her knitting, positioned to shield them from the direction of the shots. Go! Sophia hauled Lily up and ran. Her daughter's screams, mixed with gunfire and shouting. Sophia's only thought was forward, 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 get Lily inside, get her safe. They burst through the French doors into the conservatory. 2 guards immediately surrounded them, weapons drawn, scanning the gardens. Basement, one shouted. Safe room now. Maria grabbed Sophia's arm and pulled her through the mansion at a dead run. Lily sobbed against Sophia's shoulder, her small body shaking. They descended a hidden staircase behind a bookshelf. Of course there was a hidden staircase, and emerged into a reinforced room that looked like something from a spy movie. Concrete walls, monitors showing every angle of the property, communication equipment. Sophia sank to the floor, still clutching Lily. It's okay, baby. We're safe now. We're safe. But Lily's terrified eyes said she didn't believe it. 5 minutes later, Dante appeared in the doorway, Chun and Davis flanking him. His suit had sand on it, and there was a wild look in his eyes Sophia had never seen before. Did they get him? Maria asked. Wounded. He got away. Dante's gaze locked onto Sophia. You saved my life. Again. Sophia's hands were shaking too badly to respond. Dante crossed the room and knelt in front of Lily.
Hey.
You okay? Lily buried her face in Sophia's shirt, too scared to look at him. Listen to me, Lily. Dante's voice was surprisingly gentle. What happened out there, that was meant for me, not you. Bad people tried to hurt me, and your mom was very brave. She protected both of us. Why do bad people want to hurt you? Lily's voice was muffled, tiny. Dante glanced at Sophia, then back at Lily. Because I stopped them from doing bad things. And sometimes that makes them angry. Like a policeman? Something like that. Lily finally looked at him, tears streaming down her face. I don't like it here anymore. I want to go home. Sophia's heart shattered. I know, Dante said quietly. But home isn't safe right now. Here, I can protect you. I can make sure nothing bad happens. You said we were safe here. Lily looked at Sophia, accusingly. You promised, baby. You lied. Lily pulled away from her mother, crying harder. You always lie now. Maria gently took Lily's hand. Come on, sweet girl. Let's get you some water and cookies. Your mom needs to talk to Mr. Dante. Lily let herself be led away, still sobbing. Sophia stood slowly, her legs unsteady. She faced Dante, and all the fear and anger of the past week came flooding out. They weren't shooting at you, she said, her voice shaking. That laser, it wasn't on you. It was on Lily. Dante's expression went cold.
No.
I was the target. I saw it, Dante. The red, it was on her back before it moved to you. They weren't trying to kill you, Sophia's voice rose. They were trying to take her. The silence that followed was deafening. Chun shifted uncomfortably. Davis stared at the floor. Dante turned to them. Show me the footage. All of it. 20 minutes later, they watched the security video in horrified silence. Sophia had been right. The laser sight had tracked Lily for a full 3 seconds before moving to Dante when he approached. They wanted the girl alive, Davis said grimly. Sniper had a clean shot at Mr. Valeni twice and didn't take it. Dante's jaw clenched. They weren't trying to kill me. They were trying to send a message. What message? Sophia whispered. Dante met her eyes, and she saw something there she'd never seen before.
Fear.
That saving my life made your daughter valuable. And now everyone wants to own that value. Sophia found Dante on his private balcony 3 hours later. Lily was finally asleep, drugged with chamomile tea and exhaustion. Maria sat outside her room like a sentinel. The mansion buzzed with doubled security, guards on every floor, patrols circling the grounds, new cameras being installed. Dante stood at the railing, a glass of whiskey in his hand, staring out at the city lights below. He didn't turn when Sophia stepped outside. You should be resting, he said. I can't. Sophia wrapped her arms around herself. The night air was cold. Tell me the truth. All of it. Which truth do you want? There are several. Why is my daughter a target? Sophia's voice cracked. You said protecting her would keep her safe. You promised. I said I'd protect her. I didn't promise she wouldn't become collateral. Dante finally looked at her. His eyes were hollow, tired. There's a difference. Stop talking in riddles. Fine, he set his glass down hard. You want the truth? Here it is. In my world, life debts are currency. You saved my life. That makes Lily your most precious possession and asset. Every rival family knows that if they take her, they can control you. And if they control you, they can force you to betray me. Sophia's legs went weak. She grabbed the railing for support. But it's worse than that, Dante continued, his voice flat. Because you didn't just save my life. You stitched me up when I was at my most vulnerable. You saw me wounded, weak. You know things about me, my movements, my schedule, the layout of this house. Information that could get me killed. I would never. I know that. You know that. He poured himself more whiskey. But the Rossettis don't. The Castellanos don't. They think you're either my leverage or my weakness, and either way you're useful. Lily is the key to unlocking that usefulness. Sophia felt sick. So they'll keep coming for her. Yes. Until when? Until they succeed, or until I eliminate the threat completely. Dante's expression was grim. And eliminating rival families isn't a quick process. It's messy, public, and draws attention from people I'd rather not antagonize. You mean the police, among others. Sophia turned away, pressing her hands against her face. This is insane. We're prisoners. You're protected. It's the same thing. She whirled on him. You act like you're doing us some favor, but you created this situation. If you'd just let me walk away that night, you'd be dead. Dante's voice went cold. The Rossettis would have found you within 48 hours. They would have tortured you for information you don't have, then killed you when you couldn't provide it. Lily would have ended up in foster care. Or worse, they would have kept her, raised her to use against me later. The horror of that image stole Sophia's breath. Dante stepped closer. I didn't ask you to walk through that door, Sophia. But you did. And the second you touched me, stitched that wound, proved you could be useful. You became part of this world. There's no opt-out clause. No reset button. So what? We just stay here forever? Lily grows up in a cage. Lily grows up alive. Dante's eyes bored into hers. With opportunities you could never give her on a Maid salary. Education, security, a future that doesn't involve scraping by paycheck to paycheck. Money isn't everything, says someone who's never had enough of it. He wasn't being cruel, just factual. You were drowning, Sophia. One medical emergency away from losing everything. At least here, Lily has a chance. Sophia hated that he was right. Hated that the mansion's luxury had already started to feel normal. Hated that Lily's breathing had improved with the filtered air. Hated that she'd slept through the night without wheezing for the first time in months. What do you want from me? She whispered. Dante was quiet for a long moment. I want you to accept reality. You're not a maid anymore. You're not free anymore. You're under my protection, which means you're under my control. That's not negotiable. So I'm property. You're an investment I intend to keep safe. He drained his whiskey. And for what it's worth, I'm sorry. I didn't choose this either. You could let us go. Give us new identities. We could disappear. They'd find you in a week. Maybe two if you're smart about it. Dante's voice was certain. These people have resources you can't imagine. They own police departments, judges, entire cities. Running would just delay the inevitable. Sophia's eyes burned with tears she refused to shed. I hate you. I know. Lily's terrified. She thinks I lied to her. You did. Dante picked up his glass again, studying the amber liquid. You told her she was safe. That was always going to be a lie. She's 7 years old. And she's learning early that the world isn't fair. He looked at Sophia, and something in his expression softened. But she has you. That counts for something. Sophia laughed bitterly. What good am I? I can't protect her. I can't even take her home. You threw yourself between her and a bullet today, without thinking. You've kept her alive and healthy for 7 years on nothing but determination and love. Dante set his glass down. Don't underestimate what that means. The unexpected kindness broke something in Sophia. The tears came then, hot and fast. I'm so tired, she sobbed. I'm so tired of being scared. Dante hesitated, then awkwardly placed a hand on her shoulder. The gesture was stiff, unpracticed, like he'd forgotten how to offer comfort. The fear doesn't go away, he said quietly. You just learn to function despite it. Sophia wiped her eyes roughly. How do you do it? Live like this. Because the alternative is death. He removed his hand. And I'm too stubborn to die. They stood in silence, the city glittering below them like a field of broken glass. Tomorrow, we increase security protocols, Dante said finally. Lily doesn't leave the grounds without me or Chin personally. You stay within the main house. No exceptions. Tighter cage. Got it. Safer cage. He turned to leave, then paused. And Sophia? Thank you. For today. If you hadn't seen that laser sight. He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. Sophia watched him disappear inside, then looked out at the city, so close she could see individual windows, so far away it might as well be another planet. Somewhere out there, people lived normal lives, worried about normal things. Their biggest fear was traffic or bills or bad haircuts. Sophia would have given anything to have those problems again. Instead, she had a 7-year-old daughter who'd stopped trusting her, a Mafia boss who owned them both, and enemies who saw her child as currency. She gripped the railing until her knuckles went white. And for the first time since this nightmare began, Sophia let herself imagine what it would take to truly escape. Not physically. That was impossible. But maybe, just maybe, there was another way to survive this. By becoming someone they couldn't use. Someone valuable enough to negotiate with. Someone with power of her own. The thought was dangerous. But it was also the first spark of hope she'd felt in days. Sophia learned quickly that living in the mansion meant hearing things she wasn't supposed to hear. 2 weeks after the garden attack, she was restocking linens in the third-floor hallway when voices drifted from Dante's office. The door was cracked open, unusual, since he always kept it locked during meetings. She should have walked away. Instead, she stood frozen, arms full of towels, listening. Questioning your judgment, boss, but the men are talking, Marco's voice, sharp and frustrated. We've got shipments sitting in Newark because half our security is babysitting a woman and her kid. The shipments are fine. Dante's voice was calm, controlled. Paolo has it handled.
Paolo è strict tin.
We need those men on actual operations, not playing bodyguard to your. Marco stopped himself. To my what? Danger edged into Dante's tone. Nothing. Forget it.
No, say it.
To my what, Marco?
A pause.
Then, to your weakness. That's what they're calling them. Your weakness. Sophia's stomach dropped. Let them call it whatever they want, Dante said coldly. Those are my orders. Orders that make no strategic sense. Marco's voice rose. 3 weeks ago, you were untouchable. Now you're prioritizing a maid over operations that keep this family fed. Do you know what that looks like? I know exactly what it looks like.
Do you?
Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're going soft. Like you're compromised. Marco's voice dropped to something uglier. Like maybe the Rossettis were right to target the girl. Maybe she is your weakness. The sound of a chair scraping back. Footsteps. Watch your mouth. Dante's voice was deadly quiet. Someone has to say it. You think the other families haven't noticed? You think your own men don't see what's happening? You're making us vulnerable for a woman you barely know. I'm protecting an asset. She's not an asset. She's a liability. And the longer she stays, the weaker we look. Sophia pressed herself against the wall, her heart hammering. She should leave. She should. If you have a problem with my leadership, Marco, now's the time to say it clearly. I'm loyal to you, Dante. You know that. But loyalty means telling you the truth even when you don't want to hear it. Marco's voice turned almost pleading. Let me relocate them. Somewhere secure, but separate. We can still protect them without keeping them here, without making them the center of everything.
No.
Why not? Give me one good reason. Because the second they leave this house, they're dead. Dante's voice was final. Every rival family is watching, waiting for us to show weakness. If I send them away, it proves they matter. It proves they can be used against me. Here, under my direct control, they're untouchable. Or they're bait, Marco said quietly. Ever think of that? Maybe keeping them here is exactly what the Rossettis want. A target they know will defend, a distraction that keeps us reactive instead of. Enough. Dante's tone could have cut glass. The decision is made. If you can't accept that, there's the door. Silence stretched out. Sophia barely breathed. Fine, Marco said finally. But when this blows up in our faces, remember I warned you. Sophia heard footsteps approaching the door and quickly hurried down the hallway, clutching the towels like a shield. She ducked into a bathroom just as Marco emerged from the office. Through the crack in the door, she watched him storm past, his face dark with anger. He pulled out his phone and dialed.
Paolo?
Yeah, it's me. We need to talk. Tonight. Warehouse 3-inch. He glanced around, lowering his voice. About the girl situation. Dante's not thinking clearly. Someone needs to. He turned the corner, and his voice faded. Sophia's hands trembled. Marco was planning something. Something that involved her and Lily. Something Dante didn't know about. She should tell him. Warn him. But what if this was her chance to prove she wasn't just dead weight? What if she could handle this herself? The dangerous thought from the balcony returned. Become someone they can't use. Sophia left the towels in the bathroom and made her way downstairs. She found Chun in the security office, surrounded by monitors showing every angle of the property. Mrs. Santos, he nodded respectfully. Everything all right? Sophia had learned that Chun was different from the other guards, quieter, more observant. He'd served with Dante overseas, back before all of this. There was loyalty there, but also something like friendship. I need to ask you something, Sophia said quietly, closing the door behind her. And I need you to not tell Dante. Chen's expression didn't change. I don't keep secrets from my boss, even if those secrets might save his life. That got his attention. Talk. Sophia told him about the conversation she'd overheard. Marco's anger. The phone call about meeting at Warehouse 3. Paolo's name. Chen's jaw tightened. Marco's solid. Been with us for 12 years. Solid enough to go behind Dante's back. Everyone thinks they know better than the boss sometimes. Doesn't mean they're disloyal. It also doesn't mean they're not. Sophia crossed her arms. I'm telling you this because if something happens, if security fails, Lily is the one who gets hurt. Not Marco.
Not you.
My daughter. Chen studied her for a long moment. What do you want me to do? I don't know. Watch him? Check the security feeds from tonight? Something. Sophia's voice cracked slightly. I can't protect her myself. But maybe I can give you information that helps. Why not just tell Dante? Because if I'm wrong, I look paranoid. If I'm right, I'm the one who caught it, not him. She met Chen's eyes. I need to be useful, Chen. I need to be more than just the woman they have to protect. I need to be someone who protects back. Understanding flickered across Chen's face. You're trying to prove your value. I'm trying to survive. There's a difference. Chun turned back to his monitors, fingers flying over the keyboard. Warehouse 3, you said? Yeah. Several screens shifted, showing various camera angles of a large industrial building across the city. Chun zoomed in on the entrance, enhanced the image, and set up motion detection alerts. I'll monitor it tonight. If Marco shows up with Paolo, and it's just a meeting, fine. If it's something else, he glanced at Sophia. I'll handle it quietly. Dante doesn't need to know you were involved. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. This could blow up in both our faces. Chen pulled up more security feeds, this time of the mansion's interior. And Mrs. Santos? You see anything else that feels off, you come to me first. Not Maria. Not Mrs. Chun.
Me.
Understand? Sophia nodded, relief flooding through her. She'd made an ally. It wasn't much, but it was a start. As she left the security office, Sophia caught her reflection in a hallway mirror. She looked different than she had 3 weeks ago. Thinner. Tired. But there was something else in her eyes now. Something hard. Something that knew how to survive. Marco wanted to prove she was a liability.
Fine.
She'd prove she was an asset instead. That night, Sophia couldn't sleep. She lay in her bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the mansion settle around her. Lily slept peacefully in the next room, her breathing steady with the help of the medical-grade air filtration. Outside, guards patrolled in shifts. Everything looked normal. But Sophia's instincts screamed that something was wrong. At 2:17 a.m., she gave up trying to sleep and padded quietly through the halls. She'd learned the mansion's rhythms over the past weeks, knew which floorboards creaked, which hallways the guards avoided, where the cameras had blind spots. It was the kind of knowledge that came from being invisible, the kind of knowledge that could be useful. She found herself outside the security office. Through the small window, she could see Chun hunched over his monitors, a coffee mug steaming beside him. Sophia knocked softly. Chun buzzed her in without question. Can't sleep? Something feels off. Sophia moved to stand beside him, studying the screens. Did Marco show up at the warehouse? 2 hours ago. With Paolo and 3 others I didn't recognize. Chun pulled up saved footage. They talked for 40 minutes, then dispersed. I couldn't get audio. Warehouse 3 doesn't have interior coverage. What do you think they were planning? Nothing good. Chen zoomed in on one frame, showing Marco's face twisted with anger. But without proof, it's just speculation. Sophia studied the monitors showing the mansion's interior. Kitchen, hallways, the east wing where she and Lily slept. The main entrance. Dante's office. Then she saw it.
Chun.
That camera. She pointed to a monitor showing the north stairwell. The image flickered, pixelated at the edges. Is that normal? Chun leaned forward, frowning.
No.
That's interference. His fingers flew over the keyboard, pulling up diagnostic reports. Someone's been messing with the wireless transmitters. Which cameras? Chen's face went pale as he scrolled through the data. North stairwell. East wing, third floor hallway. The side entrance near the garden. He looked at Sophia. All the routes to your daughter's room. Sophia's blood ran cold. When changes were made at
1:43 a.m.
20 minutes before you got here, Chun was already typing, pulling up access logs. Security system requires admin credentials to modify camera settings. Who has admin access? Me, Dante, and Chun stopped.
Marco.
As head of ground security, he has full access. Sophia's mind raced. He's creating blind spots, making it easier for someone to get to Lily without being seen. Chun was already pulling out his phone. I need to call Dante. Wait, Sophia grabbed his arm. If you call Dante now, Marco will know someone caught him. He'll cover his tracks, claim it was a system glitch, something. We need proof he did this deliberately. Mrs. Santos, your daughter could be in danger right now. She has Maria outside her door. And you can see her room camera is still active. Sophia pointed to the monitor showing Lily's peaceful sleeping form. We have time. Not much, but enough. Chun hesitated, torn between protocol and Sophia's logic. Trust me, Sophia said. I know this house. I know things you don't. Like what? Like the fact that Marco always takes his coffee break at 2:45 a.m. in the West Kitchen. Like clockwork, Sophia had noticed during her late-night restocking. And he always leaves his tablet in the security locker outside Dante's office because the boss doesn't allow devices during morning briefings. Chun stared at her. You've been watching him. I've been watching everyone. Sophia moved to another monitor. When does the system log admin access? Real time. Every change gets time-stamped with user ID. Can you restore the cameras he disabled? Yes, but he'll get an alert that his changes were overridden. Sophia checked the clock.
2:38 a.m.
Do it at exactly 2:45. He'll be in the kitchen, away from his monitors. By the time he realizes what happened, we'll have already alerted Dante. This is a huge risk. Bigger risk is letting him finish whatever he's planning. Sophia's voice was steady, certain. He's testing the security tonight. Creating weak points. Tomorrow, or the next day, someone is going to use those weak points. Maybe the Rossettis. Maybe Paolo. But someone will. Chun studied her for a long moment. Then he nodded. Okay. But if this goes wrong, it won't. At 2:44 a.m., Chen's fingers hovered over the keyboard. Sophia watched the monitor showing the West Kitchen. Marco appeared right on schedule, pouring himself coffee from the industrial machine. Now, Sophia whispered. Chun hit enter. On the screens, the compromised cameras flickered and restored, images sharpening, blind spots disappearing. The system logged the restoration with Chen's credentials. He's checking his phone, Sophia said, watching Marco on the kitchen feed. His posture changed, shoulders tensing. He pulled out a tablet, a different one, not his official one, and started typing frantically. He's trying to reactivate the blind spots, Chen said. But he can't do it from that device. He'd need his admin tablet, which was locked in the security cabinet outside Dante's office. Marco abandoned his coffee and strode out of the kitchen, moving fast. Where's Dante? Sophia asked urgently. His room. Third floor. Chen was already dialing. He's not going to be happy about being woken up. Marco appeared on another monitor, heading for the main stairwell toward the third floor, toward the security cabinet, toward Dante's room, and toward the hallway that led to Lily's room. Sophia's heart hammered. Chun. I see him. Chen spoke into his phone. Boss, we have a situation. Marco's compromised the security grid. He's heading your way now. Yes, sir. Mrs. Santos noticed the camera interference. Yes, She's here with me, understood. He hung up. On the monitor, Dante's door opened. He stepped into the hallway, perfectly calm, perfectly positioned to intercept Marco. That was fast, Sophia breathed. He sleeps light, Chin pulled up more camera angles. And he's armed. They watched as Marco rounded the corner and came face to face with Dante. The two men stood 10 feet apart, perfectly still. Chin unmuted the hallway audio. Doing up here, Marco? Dante's voice was cold, controlled. Security check. Noticed some camera anomalies. Marco's tone was too casual. Wanted to make sure everything was tight. At 3 in the morning. Best time to test for vulnerabilities. Interesting, Dante took a step forward. Because Chun just showed me something fascinating. Someone with admin credentials disabled cameras covering the East Wing. Created a nice little blind corridor leading right to Sophia's daughter. Any idea who would do something like that? Marco's face remained neutral, but Sophia saw his hand drift toward his jacket. Don't, Dante's voice was deadly. Chun, you're recording this. Every second, boss. On the screen, Marco's shoulders sagged slightly. You don't understand. Then explain it to me. Explain why my head of security is sabotaging my own protection systems. I wasn't sabotaging. I was proving a point. Marco's voice rose, defensive. You want to know if the girl is really worth all this trouble? Worth splitting our resources? I was going to show you how easy it would be for someone to what? Get to her? Prove she's vulnerable? Dante's voice dropped to something dangerous. And then what, Marco? You fix the cameras and claim you were testing our defenses? Or were you planning to let someone else know about those blind spots first? Silence. The Rossettis promised you what? Money? Territory? A promotion when I'm dead? I'm not a traitor. Marco's hand definitely moved toward his jacket now. Chun, Dante said calmly. Send Davis and Williams to the 3rd floor. Full restraint protocols. On the monitors, 2 guards appeared from side hallways, moving swiftly toward Marco. Marco realized he was surrounded. You're making a mistake. Everything I've done has been for this family. You tried to endanger a child to prove a point about my leadership. Dante's voice could have frozen fire. Get him out of my sight. The guards moved in. Marco didn't resist. He was too smart for that. But Sophia saw the hatred in his eyes as they led him away. Dante stood alone in the hallway for a moment, then looked directly up at the camera. At Sophia. My office.
Now.
Chun winced. That's not good. Sophia was already heading for the door. I know. But as she climbed the stairs to face Dante's reaction, Sophia felt something unexpected.
Pride.
She'd seen a threat, used her knowledge, and neutralized it before it could hurt Lily. She'd protected her daughter for the first time since this nightmare began. Not by hiding. By fighting back.
Dante didn't yell.
That morning in his office, he'd simply looked at Sophia for a long moment, then said, You should have told me immediately. I needed proof. You needed to trust that I could handle my own people. Could you? Sophia challenged. Marco was with you for 12 years. You trusted him. If I'd come to you with suspicions and no evidence, would you have believed me over him? Dante had no answer for that. Next time, he said finally, tell me anyway. Trust goes both ways. That had been a week ago. Marco was gone to where, Sophia didn't ask. The security team had been reshuffled. Chun became head of ground security. New protocols were implemented. And Sophia found herself with an unexpected reputation among the remaining staff, the woman who'd caught a traitor. People whispered differently now. Not about her being Dante's mistress, but about her being shrewd. Dangerous, even. Sophia wasn't sure how she felt about that. Mommy, do I have to go? Lily whined from the back seat of the SUV. Sophia squeezed her daughter's hand. Dr. Martinez needs to check your lungs. It's important. But I feel fine. The air here is so much better. I know, baby. But we still need to make sure. Chun drove, with Davis in the passenger seat. 2 more guards followed in a second vehicle. Overkill for a simple doctor's appointment, but Sophia had learned not to question the precautions. The pediatric clinic was in a medical complex downtown, busy, public, with security cameras everywhere. Safe as anywhere could be. They parked in the underground garage. Chin scanned the area before opening Sophia's door. Stay close. Eyes open. The appointment went smoothly. Dr. Martinez was pleased with Lily's progress. Her lung function had improved significantly. He adjusted her medication and gave Sophia a thumbs up. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. She's thriving. If only he knew. They were walking back to the parking garage when the rain started, sudden, heavy, turning the world gray. Run. Sophia grabbed Lily's hand, and they dashed toward the garage entrance, laughing despite everything. For a moment it felt normal. Just a mom and daughter caught in a storm. The parking garage was darker than Sophia remembered. Half the lights were out. Chun noticed immediately. That's wrong. Those lights were on when we arrived. Davis pulled his weapon. Get them to the vehicle.
Now.
They moved quickly toward the SUV, but Sophia felt it. That prickling awareness that something was off. The garage was too quiet. Too empty. A white van screeched around the corner, blocking their path to the SUV. Down. Chun shoved Sophia and Lily behind a concrete pillar as the van's door slid open. 4 men poured out, all armed. Not amateurs. They moved with military precision. Gunfire erupted. Chun and Davis returned fire, using the parked cars as cover. The second security vehicle came racing up the ramp, but another van, this one black, cut it off. Rossetti's. Davis shouted. They're after the girl. Sophia pulled Lily tight against her chest, her daughter's screams muffled against her jacket.
Think.
They were trapped between 2 vans, outgunned, and the attackers were moving closer. An ambulance sat parked 20 feet away, its back doors unlocked. Sophia made a decision. Chen. She pointed at the ambulance. Cover me. Mrs. Santos, don't. But Sophia was already moving, half dragging Lily toward the ambulance. Bullets pinged off cars around them. She threw herself and Lily into the back of the ambulance and slammed the door shut.
Mommy, I'm scared.
I know, baby. Stay down. Sophia frantically searched the ambulance's interior. Medical supplies. Equipment. Oxygen tanks. The back doors rattled. Someone was trying to open them. Sophia grabbed the nearest oxygen tank, heavy, metal, the size of a fire extinguisher, and waited. Her heart hammered so hard, she thought it might explode. The doors burst open. A man in a ski mask reached for Lily. Sophia swung the oxygen tank with everything she had. It connected with his skull with a sickening crack. He dropped like a stone. Another man appeared, gun raised. Sophia threw a tray of medical instruments at his face. He stumbled back, cursing. She slammed the doors shut again and locked them from the inside. There's another one coming, Lily sobbed. Sophia looked around desperately. The ambulance had an interior access panel to the driver's cab. She pushed Lily through first, then squeezed through herself, knocking over equipment in her panic. The ambulance keys hung from the ignition. Sophia had never driven anything bigger than her old sedan, but she didn't hesitate. She turned the key. The engine roared to life. Behind them, someone was pounding on the back doors. In the side mirror, Sophia saw one of the attackers aiming at the driver's window. She floored the accelerator. The ambulance lurched forward, tires squealing. Sophia sideswiped a parked car, overcorrected, then aimed for the exit ramp. In the rearview mirror, she saw Chun and Davis taking down 2 more attackers. Hold on, Sophia screamed. She drove up the exit ramp like a maniac, the ambulance fishtailing on the wet pavement. Horns blared. Pedestrians scattered. 3 blocks away, she finally stopped, her hands shaking so badly she could barely hold the wheel. Lily was crying hysterically in the passenger seat. Sophia pulled her daughter into her arms and held her, both of them trembling. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Sophia's phone buzzed.
Dante.
Are you alive? Her fingers shook as she typed back.
Yes.
We're 3 blocks south. In an ambulance. Stay there. I'm coming. 10 minutes later, 5 black SUVs screamed up to their location. Dante jumped out before his vehicle even stopped moving. He yanked open the ambulance door, his eyes wild, scanning them both for injuries. Are you hurt?
No.
We're okay. Dante pulled them both out of the ambulance and into his arms. The embrace was brief, fierce, and completely unexpected. You drove an ambulance, he said, his voice hoarse. I didn't know what else to do. Chun said you used medical equipment as weapons. There was an oxygen tank. You knocked a man unconscious with an oxygen tank. Dante pulled back, staring at her with something like awe. You protected her. By yourself. Sophia started laughing. Hi, slightly hysterical. I thought we were going to die. But you didn't freeze. You fought. Dante's hands gripped her shoulders. Do you understand what that means? Sophia looked at him through tears she didn't remember starting to cry. What? It means you're not a victim anymore, Sophia. You're a survivor. And for the first time since this nightmare began, Sophia believed him. 3 days after the hospital attack, Dante asked Sophia to take a drive with him. Just you, he said. Maria will stay with Lily. Sophia's stomach tightened. In the Mafia world, private drives rarely meant good news. But she climbed into the passenger seat of his personal car, a sleek black Mercedes, no guards, no convoy, and watched the city disappear behind them. They drove in silence for 40 minutes, heading toward the coast. The late afternoon sun painted everything gold and orange, beautiful and melancholy. Finally, Dante pulled off onto a narrow road that led to a cliff overlooking the ocean. He parked at the edge, where the land dropped away into nothing, and killed the engine. Why are we here? Sophia asked quietly. Dante stared out at the water, his hands still gripping the wheel. Because I need you to understand something before I say what I'm about to say. That sounds ominous. It's not meant to be. He finally looked at her. The Rossettis are gone. The men who attacked you at the hospital. I found them. All of them. They won't be a problem anymore. Sophia's blood ran cold at the implication. You mean? I mean the immediate threat is eliminated. His voice was carefully neutral. There are always other threats. Other families. But for now, you and Lily are as safe as you can be in this world. Okay, Sophia waited, sensing there was more. Dante reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. This contains new identities for both of you. Social security numbers, birth certificates, complete backgrounds. There's also a bank account with $200,000. Enough to start over anywhere you want. Sophia's breath caught. What? A house in Montana has already been purchased under your new name. Small town. Good schools. Far from any major cities where my enemies operate. He set the envelope on the dashboard between them. There's a car waiting at a storage facility. Keys are in the envelope. I don't understand. I'm letting you go, Sophia. Dante's voice was steady, but his knuckles were white on the steering wheel. You've proven you're strong enough to protect Lily on your own. Smart enough to disappear and stay disappeared. I'll make sure everyone believes you're still under my protection for 6 months, maybe a year. By the time anyone realizes you're gone, you'll be untraceable. Sophia stared at the envelope like it was a snake. You're releasing us. I'm giving you a choice. Stay in the mansion under my protection with all the benefits and restrictions that entails. Or take this. He gestured to the envelope. And build a real life. A normal life. The kind you deserve. Tears blurred Sophia's vision. Why now? Because I've been watching you these past weeks. You're not helpless. You're not weak. You don't need me anymore, Dante's voice dropped. And maybe I was wrong to keep you caged just because it was convenient for me. Convenient? Sophia's voice cracked. You said we'd die if we left. That was true then. It's less true now. The Rossettis were the primary threat. With them gone, the risk drops significantly. He turned to face her fully. I won't lie and say there's no danger. There is. There always will be. But it's manageable now. Especially for someone as resourceful as you. Sophia picked up the envelope with shaking hands. Inside, she saw documents with unfamiliar names. Emma and Charlotte Hayes. A fresh start. A clean slate. Everything she'd dreamed of 6 weeks ago. Lily would be devastated, Sophia whispered. She loves the piano lessons, the tutors, the garden. She's finally happy. She's adaptable. Kids are Dante's jaw tightened. And she deserves to grow up without armed guards and security protocols. She deserves normal. What about you? The question hung in the air. Dante looked away. What about me? Don't you want us to stay? Silence stretched out, filled only by the sound of waves crashing far below. What I want is irrelevant, Dante said finally. This isn't about me. Then why do you look like someone just died? He flinched at that. Because maybe I've gotten too comfortable. Maybe I've started seeing you both as something other than obligations. And that's dangerous. For all of us. Sophia's heart hammered. What are we to you, Dante? You're people I failed to protect properly. People who got dragged into my world through no fault of their own. His voice was rough. People who deserve better than this. That's not an answer. It's the only answer I can give. Sophia looked out at the ocean, at the endless water stretching toward a horizon she couldn't see. Freedom was right there, in an envelope, in new names and a new life. But freedom also meant leaving behind the first place Lily had thrived. Leaving behind Dr. Phillips and Maria and Chun. Leaving behind a man who'd somehow become more than just her captor. If we stay, Sophia said slowly, things change.
How?
I'm not your employee. I'm not your responsibility. I'm not someone you protect because you have to. She turned to face him. If we stay, it's because we choose to. And that means I get a say in how this works. Dante studied her face. What do you want? Partnership. Not ownership. Sophia's voice grew stronger. I want to help make decisions that affect Lily. I want to be involved in security protocols. I want to know what's happening and why. She paused. And I want your word that if we ever truly want to leave, you'll let us go.
No threats. No consequences.
You're negotiating with me.
Yes.
Because that's what partners do. A ghost of a smile crossed Dante's face. You've changed. You've forced me to, but Sophia's tone held no bitterness. Just truth. So, do we have a deal? Dante was quiet for a long moment. Then he reached across and took the envelope from her hands. If you stay, it's permanent. Not because I'm forcing you, but because leaving later would be too dangerous. Too many people will know you. Know Lily. You'd have targets on your backs forever. I know. You'd be choosing this life. Consciously. Willingly. I know, Sophia repeated. Why? The question came out raw, honest. Why would you choose this? Sophia looked at this man who'd kidnapped them, protected them, challenged them, and somehow made them stronger. Because Montana sounds lonely. Because Lily has never been healthier or happier.
And because she took a breath.
Because maybe this, us here, now, maybe this is already home. A strange, dangerous, impossible home. But home nonetheless. Dante's expression was unreadable. You're sure? No, Sophia laughed through tears she didn't try to hide.
I'm terrified.
But I'm sure that running won't make me less terrified. At least here, I know what I'm fighting for. Dante started the car. He drove them back toward the city, toward the mansion, toward the life they'd both chosen, for better or worse. The envelope with new identities sat on the dashboard, unclaimed. And Sophia realized that freedom wasn't about geography. It was about having the power to choose your cage. 6 months later, Sophia stood in the newly renovated West Wing conference room, reviewing the proposal on her tablet. Around the table sat 5 people: Chun, Mrs. Chun, Dr. Phillips, a lawyer named Rebecca Torres, and a social worker named James Kim. The pilot program will start with 10 families, Sophia explained, pulling up her presentation. Single parents working in high-risk service positions. We provide housing in secured buildings, medical coverage, childcare, and job training. In exchange, they work for Valenti-owned legitimate businesses. Rebecca nodded approvingly. It's a good front. Looks like corporate social responsibility functions as both recruitment and protection. It's not just a front, Sophia said firmly. These families need real help. We're providing real solutions. That happened to benefit the organization, Chen added pragmatically. Loyal employees who understand the value of protection. Win-win. Sophia had learned to accept the dual nature of everything in Dante's world. Nothing was ever purely good or purely strategic. It was always both. Dante approved the budget? James asked. He approved the concept. I control the budget, Sophia smiled slightly. That was part of our agreement. The door opened. Dante entered, Lily skipping beside him, her school uniform slightly rumpled from the day. She'd started at a private academy 3 months ago, one with actual security that didn't make her feel like a prisoner. Mommy, Mr. Dante said I can show you my piano recital piece. After my meeting, baby. 20 minutes. Lily pouted but accepted it. She'd learned that Sophia's work was important. That her mom wasn't just someone who cleaned anymore. Dante took an empty seat at the table, listening as Sophia finished her presentation. He asked sharp questions about costs, risks, operational security, but ultimately deferred to her expertise on the humanitarian aspects. This was their dynamic now.
Partnership.
Negotiation. Mutual respect built on survival and choice. When the meeting ended, Sophia found Dante waiting in the hallway. Walk with me, he said. They strolled through the mansion, past the renovated East Wing where 3 other families now lived, staff members Sophia had personally vetted and brought into the protection program. The mansion had transformed from a fortress into something closer to a community. The board meeting is next week, Dante said. They want to meet you formally. The board of crime bosses wants to meet the social worker? Sophia's tone was dry. How progressive. The board of family heads wants to meet my civilian protection consultant, who somehow convinced me to spend $3 million on housing projects. Dante's lips twitched. They're suspicious. Let them be suspicious. The program works. Crime drops when people have stability. Your territories are safer because we're investing in communities, not just enforcing them. I know. That's why I'm letting you present to them directly. Sophia stopped walking. You're serious. You negotiated your way into this position. Now prove you deserve to keep it. Dante's expression was challenging but not unkind. They'll try to intimidate you. Don't let them. I've survived worse than intimidating men in suits. I know you have, his voice softened. That's why I trust you to do this. They reached the garden, the same garden where the sniper attack had happened. It looked different now. Lily's artwork hung on a nearby wall, protected by glass. The playground had been expanded. Other children played there now, children of staff members, guards, people who'd found safety in Dante's world just as Sophia had. Lily sat at the outdoor piano, practicing scales with fierce concentration. Maria sat nearby, knitting as always, keeping watch without hovering. She wants to perform at the winter recital, Dante said quietly. Dr. Phillips thinks she's ready. She's terrified of performing in front of strangers. She's braver than she thinks. Like her mother. Sophia looked at him. This man who'd become something she still couldn't quite define. Not a captor anymore. Not quite a friend. Something more complicated and far more important. Do you regret it? She asked. Letting us stay? Dante considered the question seriously. I regret the circumstances that brought you here. I regret that Lily had to learn about violence at 7 years old. I regret that you were forced to become someone you never intended to be. That's not an answer. But I don't regret knowing you both. I don't regret watching Lily grow into someone remarkable. And I don't regret the fact that you've somehow made this organization better by simply refusing to accept that we can't be. He met her eyes.
So no.
I don't regret it. Sophia's throat tightened. We're not normal. Normal is overrated. We're not safe either. Not really. There will always be another threat. True. But we're safer together than apart. Stronger together, Dante's voice was certain. That counts for something. Lily's piano practice ended with a triumphant flourish. She jumped up and ran to them, breathless and glowing. Did you hear? I didn't miss a single note. You were perfect, baby. Sophia hugged her daughter tight. Mr. Dante, will you come to my recital? Please. Dante crouched down to Lily's level. I'll be in the front row. Promise. Promise. Lily beamed and ran back to Maria, chattering about what dress she wanted to wear. Sophia watched her daughter, healthy, happy, thriving in this strange world they'd built. Not the world she'd imagined 6 months ago. Not the world she would have chosen. But maybe somehow the world she needed. Thank you, she said quietly. Dante straightened. For what? For giving us a choice. Even when you didn't have to. You gave me one first. That night you stitched my wound instead of running. He started walking back toward the mansion. We've been choosing each other ever since. Sophia followed him, past the guards who nodded respectfully, past the families who'd found refuge here, past the life she'd built from nothing but survival instinct and stubborn hope. She'd walked through the wrong door 6 months ago, but somehow, impossibly, she'd found her way home. Not despite the danger, not despite the cage, but because she'd learned that freedom wasn't about the absence of walls. It was about having the power to build your own doors, and the courage to choose who got to walk through them.
The end.